How could these girls, their minds caught up in the waves of the modes of nature, free themselves from material attachment? Good question. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. King Parikshit was sitting in an assembly of great sages and other important personalities, listening to the words of Sukadeva Goswami. According to Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti, as Sukadeva began to speaking of the gopis' conjugal love for Krishna, the king noticed the expressions on the faces of some of the more materialistic persons present there and realized the doubt lurking in their hearts. Therefore, although the king thoroughly knew the purport of Sukadeva's words, he presented himself as experiencing personal doubt so that he could eradicate the doubt of others. That is why he asked this question. Text 13. Sukadeva Goswami said, this point was explained to you previously, since even Sisupala, who hated Krishna, achieved perfection, then what to speak of the Lord's dear devotees? Yeah. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Although the spiritual nature of conditioned souls may be covered by illusion, Lord Krishna's spiritual nature is omnipotent and is never covered by any other power. In fact, all other powers are his energy and thus function according to his will. The Brahma Samhita 5.44 states, Shristi Stuti Pralaya Sadhana Shaktir Eka Chayeva Yasya Bhuvanani Vibharti Durga Ichana Rupam Api Yasya Chachestate Sa. The mighty Durga, who creates, maintains, and annihilates the material worlds, is the potency of the Supreme Lord, and she moves like his shadow, according to his desire. Thus, because the Lord's spiritual influence does not depend on whether someone understands him or not, the gopis' spontaneous love for Krishna guaranteed their spiritual perfection. The great Madhvacharya quotes the following relevant passages from the Skanda Purana. Krishna kamas tada gopyas Jakva deham divan gata samyak Krishnam para Rama gyatva kalat param yayu. At that time, the gopis, who desired Krishna, gave up their bodies and went to the spiritual world, because they properly understood Krishna to be the Supreme Absolute. They transcended the influence of time. Purvancha jnana samyuktas tatrapi prayasas tata atas tasam param brahma gatir asin na kamata. In their previous lives, most of the gopis were already fully endowed with transcendental knowledge. It is because of this knowledge, not their lust, that they were able to attain the supreme Brahman. Natu jnanam rite moksho nanya panteti hi shruti kama yukta tada bhaktir jnanam tato vimukti ya. The Vedas declare that without spiritual knowledge, there is no valid path to liberation. Because these apparently lusty gopis possessed devotion and knowledge, they achieved liberation. Ato mokshe pitasam cha kamo bhaktya nivartate. Mukti sabdo dido chaida prabhato dvesa bhagina. Thus, even in their attainment of liberation, lust followed as a manifestation of their pure devotion. After all, what we call liberation was experienced even by envious persons like Sisupala. Bhakti Margi Pritan Muktim Agad Vishnu Prasadata Kamas Tva Asubha Krich Chapi Bhaktya Vishnu Prasada Krit. By the mercy of Lord Vishnu, one who follows the path of devotional service gains liberation as a byproduct, and such persons' lusty desire, which would normally invoke misfortune, instead invokes the mercy of Vishnu when exhibited in pure devotion. Devesi jiva yutam chapi, bhaktam Vishnu vimochate chayet. Ahoti karuna Vishnu sisupalasya mokshanat. Lord Vishnu will save even a devotee possessed of an envious life. Lust see the extreme mercy of the Lord as shown by his granting liberation to Sisupala. Sisupala was Lord Krishna's cousin. He was mortified when the Lord stole the gorgeous young Rukmini, whom Sisupala himself was hell-bent on marrying. For various other reasons also, Sisupala was consumed with envy of Lord Krishna. And finally, he insanely offended him in a great assembly called the Rajasuya sacrifice. At that time, Krishna nonchalantly cut off Sisupala's head and gave him liberation. Everyone present saw the effulgent soul of Sisupala rise out of his dead body and merge into the existence of the Lord. The seventh canto explains that Sisupala was an incarnation of a gatekeeper in the spiritual world, cursed to take birth on the earth as a demon. Since even Sisupala was liberated by the Lord, who took into consideration the whole situation, then what to speak of the gopis, who loved Krishna more than anything? Text 14. O King, the Supreme Lord is inexhaustible and immeasurable, and he is untouched by the material modes because he is their controller. His personal appearance in this world is meant for bestowing the highest benefit on humanity. Purport. by Srila Prabhupada. Since Lord Krishna descends to benefit mankind in general, why would he neglect innocent young girls who loved him more than anyone else did? Although the Lord awards himself to his pure devotees, he is avyaya, inexhaustible, because, because he is aprameya, immeasurable. He is also nirguna, free of material qualities. And thus, those who intimately associate with him are on the same spiritual platform. He is Gunatma, the controller or original personality behind the modes of nature. And it is specifically for this reason that he is free from them. In other words, because the modes of nature are his energy, they cannot act upon him. Oh, well, that's good to know. Text 15. Persons who constantly direct their lust, anger, fear, protective affection, feeling of impersonal oneness, or friendship toward Lord Hari are sure to become absorbed in thought of him. Purports. Lord Krishna is pure spiritual existence, and those who somehow or other become attached to him, absorbed in thoughts of him, rise to the spiritual platform. This is the absolute nature of the Lord's personal association. With this verse, Sukadeva Goswami answers King Parikshit's question about the gopis. After all, Sukadeva has begun to narrate Krishna's most intimate pastime and the rasa dance, and Parikshit is cooperating to remove the doubts of others who are hearing or who in the future may hear this astonishing story. Srila Madhvacharya has quoted a statement from the Skanda Purana that emphatically declares persons like the gopis to be liberated souls beyond the pale of material illusion. Vyakya hi nitya kamitvam natu muktim vina bhavet. Ata kamitaya vapi muktir bhakti matam haro. Eternal conjugal attraction to Krishna, expressed in pure devotional service, cannot develop in one who is not already liberated. Thus, those who are devoted to Lord Hari, even in conjugal attraction, are already liberated. Srila Madhvacharya then quotes from the Padma Purana to clarify the essential point that one cannot be liberated simply by lusting after Lord Krishna, but rather only by possessing conjugal attraction in pure devotional service. Sneha Bhakta Sadeva Kamit Vain of Sara Striya Kaschin Na Kamena Bhaktya Keva La Yaiva too. The demigods are always affectionately devoted to the Lord, and the young ladies of heaven, called Apsaras, have lusty feelings toward him. Although one although some of them have pure devotion for him, untainted by material lust. Only these latter apsaras are ready for liberation, because without bona fide devotional service, one cannot possibly achieve liberation. Thus, devotional service is not yogyam or appropriate unless free from material lust. One should not take cheaply the gopis' achievement of personal association with Lord Krishna and in a conjugal relationship to show the gravity of direct relationship with the Lord. Srila Madhvacharya has quoted the following verses from the Varaha Purana. Patit dvena shriyo pasyo brahmana me piteti cha pita mahat tai yanesham shidas sanam janardana. The goddess Lakshmi worships Lord Janardhan as her husband. Lord Brahma worships him as his father, and the other demigods worship him as their grandfather. Prapitamaho me Bhagavan iti sarva janasyatu. Guru Sri Brahmano Vishnu Suranam cha gurur guru. Thus, people in general should think, the Supreme Lord is my great grandfather. Lord Vishnu is the spiritual master of Brahma, and thus the guru of the demigods. Guru Brahmasya Jagato Evam Vishnu Sanatana Iti Evo Pasanam Karyam Nan Yata Tu Katan Chana. Brahma is the spiritual master of this universe, and Vishnu is the eternally worshipable deity. With this understanding, and not otherwise, one should worship the Lord. The above injunctions apply to Sarvajnana, all people in general. Thus, one should follow these injunctions until one achieves the exalted platform of intimate relationship with the Supreme Lord. There is abundant evidence that the gopis of Vrindavana were highly elevated, liberated souls, and thus their pastimes with Krishna are pure, spiritual affairs. Keeping this in mind, we can truly understand this chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Text 16. You should not be so astonished by Krishna, the unborn master of all masters of mystic power, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. After all, it is the Lord who liberates this world. Okay. And that settles everything. Purport. Parikshit Maharaj should not have been so astonished that Lord Krishna's so-called romantic affairs are in fact meant to liberate the entire universe. After all, that is the Lord's purpose, to bring all conditioned souls back home, back to Godhead, for an eternal life of bliss and knowledge. The Lord's conjugal affairs with the gopis fit in very nicely with that program, because we who are actually lusty in material consciousness can be purified and liberated by hearing of them. In the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, 1.5.33, Narada Muni states, Amayo yascha bhutanam jayate yena suvrata Tadeva hi amayam dravyam na punati chikitsitam. O good soul, does not a thing applied therapeutically cure a disease that was caused by that very same thing? Thus, Krishna's romantic affairs being pure, spiritual activities will cure those who hear about them of the disease of material lust. Text 17. Seeing that the girls of Raja had arrived, Lord Krishna, the best of speakers, greeted them with charming words that bewildered their minds. Purport. Having established the spiritual nature of the gopis' love for Krishna, Sukadeva Goswami proceeds with his narration. Text 18. Shri Bhagavan Vacha. Swagatam vo mahabhaga priyam kim karavani va rajas yana mayam kachit bruta gamana karanam. Lord Krishna said to, O most fortunate ladies, welcome. What may I do to please you? Is everything well in Braja? Please tell me the reason for your coming here. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Lord Krishna knew perfectly well why the gopis had come. In fact, he had called them with the romantic melodies of his flute. So Krishna was simply teasing the gopis by asking them, why have you come here so quickly? Is something wrong in town? Why have you come here anyway? What do you want? The gopis were Krishna's young lovers, and therefore these questions certainly bewildered them, for they had responded to Krishna's call with the simple mentality of enjoying conjugal love with him. Text 19. Rajani Esha Gora Rupa Gora Sattva Nisevita Pati Yata Rajam Neha Shteyam Sri Vi Sumadhyama. This night is quite frightening, and frightening creatures are lurking about. Return to Raja, slender-waisted girls. This is not a proper place for women. After all the trouble of meeting Krishna, now Krishna tells him, okay, well, look, go back. Purport. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakura has written the following charming commentary on this verse. The gopis thought, alas, alas, even after shattering our family responsibilities, our sobriety, and our shame, and enjoying us day after day, and after now, dragging us here by the sound of his flute, he is asking us why we have come. As the gopis cast sidelong glances at one another, the Lord said, if you try to tell me that you have come to get night blooming flowers to use in the worship of God, and that it is these flowers you are looking at with your sidelong glances, I will have to reject your excuse as unacceptable, since neither the time, place, nor persons involved are appropriate. Wow. Mm-hmm. That is a real downer. This is the Lord's meaning in the verse beginning Ranjani. He might have said, even though there is abundant moonlight, this time of night is very fearsome, and because many snakes, scorpions, and other dangerous creatures, too small for you to see, are lying beneath the creepers, roots, and twigs. Therefore, this time is unsuitable for gathering flowers. And not only the time, but also this place is unsuitable for you to gather flowers, because at night, terrible creatures such as tigers are, are abroad here. Therefore, you should go back to Raja. But the gopis may object. Let us just rest for a few minutes and then we will go. See, very tricky here. Then the Lord might reply, women shouldn't remain in this kind of place. In other words, because of the time and place, it is wrong for persons like yourselves to stay here even for a moment. Furthermore, by the word sumadhyama, O slender waisted ones, the Lord implies, you are beautiful young girls, and I am a beautiful young boy, because you are all very chaste, and I am a brahmachari, as confirmed by the words Krishno brahmachari in the Shruti, Gopalatapani Upanishad. There should be no fault in our being in the same place. Nonetheless, the mind can never be trusted. Oh, neither yours nor mine. Okay. The Lord's inner eagerness, thus hinted at just hinted at, is oblivious if we read his words between the lines as follows. If out of shyness you cannot tell me the reason you've come, then don't speak. I already know it anyway, so just listen as I tell it to you. Thus the Lord speaks the words beginning Ranjani. The following statement by Krishna is based on an alternative meaning of the verse derived when the Sanskrit words are separated in a different way. The alternative separation, according to Srila Vishwanatha Chakravarti, would be Ranjani Esha Agora Rupa Agora Sattva Nisevita Pratiyata Rajam Na Iha Steyam Stri Bihi Su Madhya Madhyama. Through Srila Vishwanatha's commentary, Krishna now explains the meaning of this division of words. The pervasive moonshine has made this night appear not at all fearsome, and therefore this forest is populated by harmless creatures such as deer, agora sattvae, or else by animals such as tigers that are harmless, because of Vrindavana's naturally nonviolent atmosphere. Consequently, night should not frighten you. Or else, Krishna may have meant, you should not be afraid of your own husbands and other relatives, because the night, being populated by fearsome animals, they will not come near this place. Therefore, please do not go back to Braja, na pratiyata, but stay here in my company. Iha steyam. The gopis may ask the Lord, "How are you staying here?" The Lord answers, "With women." "But are you satisfied to keep just any woman in your company?" The Lord replies to this with the word Sumadhyama, meaning only women who are young and beautiful, who have slender waists, namely yourselves, should stay here with me and not others. Thus, we can appreciate that Krishna's statements are full of considerate as well as negligible sentiments. Krishna's words are certainly brilliant because, according to the rules of Sanskrit grammar, they may be misunderstood in either of two opposite ways. In the first case, as translated above, Lord Krishna continues to tease the gopis by telling them the night is dangerous and inauspicious and that they should go home. But Krishna is simultaneously saying exactly the opposite, namely, that there is absolutely no reason for the gopis to fear coming to the Lord, that the night is quite auspicious, and that the girls should under no circumstances go back home. Thus, Lord Krishna simultaneously teases and enchants the gopis with his words. Only Krishna can do that.
Mhm.
Text 20. Matra pitara putra pratara pataya chava vichinvanti hi apasyanto ma krid devam bandhu sad havasam. Not finding you at home, your mothers, fathers, sons, brothers, and husbands are certainly searching for you. Don't cause anxiety for your family members. Text 21 to 22. Now you have seen this Vrindavana forest, full of flowers and resplendent with the light of the full moon. You have seen the beauty of the trees, with their leaves trembling in the gentle breeze coming from the Yamuna. So now go back to the cowherd village. Don't delay, O chaste ladies. Serve your husbands and give milk to your crying babies and calves. That's after they went through so much trouble to come to see Krishna. Now he's telling them, go back. Purport. Srila Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakura further explains text 22 as follows. Lord Krishna says, therefore don't wait a long time before going, but go immediately. The word sati means that the gopis are loyal to their husbands. Therefore, Krishna indicates that the gopis should serve their husbands so the latter can accomplish their religious duties, and that the gopis should also be considered worshipable because of their chastity. All this Krishna says to the gopis who are married. And now, and how? And now, to the unmarried girls, he says, the calves are crying to see to it that they get milk. To the Munichari gopis, he says, your babies are crying, so feed them milk. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur further reveals the hidden meaning of these two verses as follows. In text 21, Krishna might have said, this Vrindavana is the very best of places. And moreover, this is a full moon night. Furthermore, we have the Yamuna on all sides, and there and there are cool, gentle, fragrant breezes blowing. These are all transcendental opulences that stimulate loving exchanges. And since I am also here as the foremost ecstatic opulence, the object of love, let us now test how much expertise you can show in relishing rasas. In text 22, he means to say, thus for a long time, for the entire duration of this night, don't leave, but rather stay here and enjoy with me. Don't go serve your husbands and the gentle women, your mothers in law, and so forth. It would not be befitting for you to waste such beauty and youth, which are gifts of the Creator. Nor should you milk the cows or give milk to the calves and babies. What do you, who are so full of ecstatic attraction for me, have to do with these affairs? Srila Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakur also explains that the gopis could not really be sure exactly what Krishna was doing, whether he was merely joking, inviting them to stay, or instructing them to return home. Thus, as Sri Krishna spoke about the beauty of the forest, the gopis felt embarrassed and bewildered and looked upward at the trees. And as he spoke about the Yamuna, they looked all around at the river. Their absolute purity and simplicity, along with their absolute devotion to Lord Krishna in the conjugal mode, created the most beautiful pastimes ever exhibited in this universe. Wow. Not in this world, but this universe. Text 23. On the other hand, perhaps you have come here out of your great love for me, which has taken control of your heart. This is, of course, quite commendable on your part, since all living entities possess natural affection for me. Text 24. The highest religious duty for a woman is to sincerely serve her husband, behave well toward her husband's family, and take good care of her children. Purport. Srila Jiva Goswami astutely points out here that the gopis' real eternal husband is Lord Krishna, not their so-called husbands at home, who falsely considered the gopis their property. Thus, a strict interpretation of the word amayaya without illusion reveals that the supreme religious duty for the gopis is to serve Sri Krishna, their real lover. Okay. Women who desire a good destination in the next life should never abandon a husband who has not fallen from his religious standards, even if he is obnoxious, unfortunate, old, unintelligent, sickly, or poor. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti quotes a similar statement from Smriti Shastra, Patim Swa Apatitam Bhajet. One should serve a master who is not full. Sometimes the foolish argument is given that even if a husband falls down from spiritual principles, his wife should continue to follow him since he is her guru. In fact, since Krishna consciousness cannot be subordinated to any other religious principle, a guru who engages his follower in materialistic sinful activities loses his status as a guru. Srila Prabhupada stated that the system of monarchy collapsed in Europe because the monarchs abused and exploited their position. Similarly, in the Western world, men have abused and exploited women. And now there is a popular movement in which women reject the authority of their husbands. Ideally, men should be staunch in spiritual life and give pure, sincere guidance to the women under their care. Well, that is the ideal way. The gopis, of course, being on the highest platform of spiritual perfection, were transcendental to all positive and negative religious considerations. In other words, they were the eternal lovers of the absolute truth. Text 26. For a woman from a respectable family, pretty adulterous affairs are always condemned. They bar her from heaven, ruin her reputation, and bring her difficulty and fear. Text 27. Transcendental love for me arises by the devotional process of hearing about me, seeing my deity form, meditating on me, and faithfully chanting my glories. The same result is not achieved by mere physical proximity. So please go back to your homes. Purport: Lord Krishna is certainly presenting formidable arguments. Text 28. Sukadeva Goswami said, hearing these unpleasant words spoken by Govinda, the gopis became morose. Their great hopes were frustrated and they felt insurmountable anxiety. Purport: the gopis did not know what to do. They considered falling at Krishna's feet and crying for his mercy, or perhaps remaining aloof and going back to their homes. But they could do neither of these things, and so felt great anxiety. Wow, that's not good. Text 29. Their heads hanging down and their heavy, sorrowful breathing drying up their reddened lips. The gopis scratched the ground with their toes. Tears flowed from their eyes, carrying their kajala and washing away the vermilion smeared on their breasts. Thus they stood, silently bearing the burden of their unhappiness. Oh my God, terrible. Purport: the gopis felt, if Krishna has not been conquered by our love, then our love must not be genuine. And if we cannot properly love Krishna, what is the use of our lives? Their reddish lips were drying up because of the hot breathing that arose from their unhappiness. When the hot sun dries ripe, red bimba fruits, dark spots appear on them, and they grow soft. The beautiful lips of the gopis similarly changed in appearance. They stood silently before Krishna, unable to speak. Although Krishna was their beloved, and although they had abandoned all other objects of desire for his sake, he had been speaking to them unfavorably. Nonetheless, They remained unflinching in their attachment to him. Stopping their crying, they wiped their eyes and began to speak, their voices stammering with agitation. Purport. The gopis now applied to Sri Krishna, their voices choking up with anger, caused by their intense love for him and their unwillingness to give him up. They would not allow him to reject them. Text 31. The beautiful gopis said, O all-powerful one, you should not speak in this cruel way. Do not reject us, who have renounced all material enjoyment to render devotional service to your lotus feet. Reciprocate with us, O stubborn one, just as the primeval Lord Sri Narayana reciprocates with his devotees in their endeavors for liberation. Text 32. Our dear Krishna, as an expert in religion, you have advised us that the proper religious duty for a woman is to faithfully serve her husbands, children, and other relatives. We agree that this principle is valid, but actually, this service should be rendered to you. After all, O Lord, you are the dearest friend of all embodied souls. You are the most intimate relative, and indeed, their very self. Purport. Sri Krishna is the soul of all souls, their dearest friend and well-wisher, as stated in the 11th canto of the Bhagavatam, 11.5.41. Devarsi Bhutatman Rinam Pritrinam, Nakinkaro Nayam Rini Shavajan, Sarvatmana Ya Saranam Saranyam, Gato Mukundam Parihrityakartam. O King, one who has given up all the material duties and has taken full shelter of the lotus feet of Mukunda, who offers shelter to all, is not indebted to the demigods, great sages, ordinary living beings, relatives, friends, mankind, or even one's forefathers who have passed away, since all such classes of living entities are part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. One who has surrendered to the Lord's service has no need to serve such persons separately. That's good.
Mm.
Authority descends from the author of all existence, the Supreme Lord. Natural figures of authority, such as husbands, mothers, government leaders, and sages, gain their power and authority from the Supreme Lord, and should thus represent the absolute truth to those who follow them. If one wholeheartedly engages in loving service to the original supreme truth, one need not indirectly serve the absolute truth through the above mentioned secondary authorities. Even a soul surrendered to God, however, continues to serve the spiritual master, who is a direct, not an indirect representative of the Supreme Lord. A bona fide acharya, or spiritual master, is the transparent medium leading the disciple to the lotus feet of Krishna. All indirect authorities become obsolete when one is directly in touch with the absolute truth. The gopis wanted to explain this basic point to Krishna. and some of the bolder young girls among them attempted to defeat Sri Krishna with his own statements as exemplified in this verse. Text 33. Expert transcendentalists always direct their affection toward you because they recognize you as their true self and eternal beloved. What use do we have for these husbands, children, and relatives of ours who simply give us trouble? Therefore, O Supreme Controller, grant us your mercy. O Lotus-eyed One, please do not cut down our long-cherished hope to have your association. See, that's very nice statements. It just shows how much love the gopis have for Krishna. Until today, our minds were absorbed in household affairs, but you easily stole both our minds and our hands away from our housework. Now, our feet won't move one step from your lotus feet. How can we go back to Vraja? What would we do there? Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Sri Krishna has blown into his flute, and the intoxicating music that had come out of its hold had stolen the minds of the young gopi girls. Now, they had come to see Krishna to demand back their stolen property, but they could regain their minds only if Sri Krishna accepted them and engaged them in conjugal affairs. Sri Krishna might have replied, "But my dear gopis, just go home for now. Let me consider the situation for a day or two, and then I will give you back your minds." In reply to this possible argument, the gopis state, "Our feet refuse to move even one step. So please give us back our minds and accept us, and then we will go." Dear Krishna, please pour the nectar of your lips upon the fire within our hearts, a fire you ignited with your smiling glances and the sweet song of your flute. If you do not, we will consign our bodies to the fire of separation from you, O friend, and thus, like yogis, attain to the abode of your lotus feet by meditation. Text 36. O lotus-eyed one, the goddess of fortune considers it a festive occasion whenever she touches the soles of your lotus feet. You are very dear to the residents of the forest, and therefore we will also touch those lotus feet. From that time on, we will be unable even to stand in the presence of any other man, for we will have been fully satisfied by you. Text 37. Goddess Lakshmi, whose glance is sought after by the demigods with great endeavor, has achieved the unique position of always remaining on the chest of her Lord Narayana. Still, she desires the dust of his lotus feet, even though she has to share that dust with Tulsi Devi, and indeed with the Lord's many other servants. Similarly, we have approached the dust of your lotus feet for shelter. Purport. The gopis here point out that the dust of the Lord's feet is so ecstatic and enlivening that the goddess of fortune wants to abandon her unique position on his chest to share with many other devotees a position at his feet. Thus, the gopis urge Lord Krishna not to be guilty of double standards, since the Lord gave the goddess of fortune a place on his chest and also allowed her to seek the dust of his lotus feet. Krishna should certainly give the same opportunity to his most loving devotees, the gopis. After all, the gopis plead, seeking the dust of your lotus feet is perfectly justified, and you should encourage us in this endeavor and not try to send us away. Text 38. Therefore, O vanquisher of all distress, please show us mercy. To approach your lotus feet, we abandon our families and we have no desire other than to serve you. Our hearts are burning with intense desires generated by your beautiful smiling glances. O jewel among men, please make us your maidservants. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. When Sri Krishna was born, the sage Garga predicted that he would manifest all the opulences of the Supreme Lord Narayana. The gopis now appeal to the Lord to fulfill this prediction by being merciful and granting them direct service, just as Lord Narayana awards direct service to his loving devotees. The gopis emphasize that they did not give up their families and homes with the hope of securing higher pleasure from Krishna. They are simply begging for service. See, that means they're devotees, revealing their pure-hearted devotion. The gopis think, if in the course of your pursuing your happiness, we somehow or other become happy by seeing your face, what is the harm in that? Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti comments on the words Purusha Bhusana, O jewel among men. The Thakura states that the gopis meant to say, O jewel of all males, please decorate our golden bodies with the dark blue gems of your limbs. Text 39. And we'll end with text 39. Seeing your face encircled by curling locks of hair, your cheeks beautified by earrings, your lips full of nectar, and your smiling glance, and also seeing your two imposing arms, which take away our fear, and your chest, which is the only source of pleasure for the goddess of fortune. We must become your maidservants. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur envisions the gopis' dealings with Krishna as follows. Krishna says, you want to become my servants? So do I have to buy you with some payment? Or are you giving yourselves freely? The gopis reply, since the beginning of our youthful womanhood, you have been purchasing us with the payment of millions and millions of times more than enough. That payment is your gem-like smiling glance, which constitutes a great treasure we have never heard about or seen anywhere else. Okay. When you put your golden turban on your head, your maidservant will act as your valet pulling up the turban bit by bit until it is in just the right position. And even while you shake a chastising finger at her, trying hard to prohibit her, she will put her hand beneath your turban and take the opportunity to glance at your face. Thus, we, your maidservants, will relish with our eyes your abundant sweetness. Krishna says, your husbands will not tolerate this behavior of ours. They will complain bitterly to King Kamsa, thus producing a fearful situation for me and for you as well. The gopis say, but Krishna, your two mighty arms make us fearless, just as they did when you held up Govardhan Hill to protect us from the pride of Mahendra, whose arms will certainly kill the beast Kamsa. That beast Kamsa. But being a religious person, I cannot make others wives, my maidservants. Oh, dear crest jewel of religious personalities, you may say that you refuse to make the cowherds' wives your maidservants, but by force you have already taken Lakshmi, the wife of Narayana, from Vaikuntha and are carrying her around on your chest. Out of shame, she has assumed the form of a golden line on your chest, and she takes her only pleasure there. Besides, within all the 14 worlds, and even above these worlds, in Vaikuntha Loka, beyond this universe, you never reject any beautiful woman, no matter who she is or whom she belongs to. We know this quite well. All right, so I think we have come to the end here. And so we'll pick it up on text 40 tomorrow. Hare
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Jai Shri Krishna Bhagavan Ki Jai.
Jai.
All glories to Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.
Jai.
Thank you very much, my dear devotees. Please have a good day today. And it's a good thing to meditate on what we have heard today so that you'll be ready tomorrow to go forward again. We're going step by step through all the transcendental knowledge of the Bhagavatam. Hari Bol.
Hare Hare.